Greetings everyone, welcome to Degradation, a channel for sharing knowledge. In today's video, we will explain about ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are various direct and indirect benefits that humans derive from the natural environment and its ecosystems. These services are vital to human survival and well-being, providing everything from the air we breathe to the food we eat and the water we drink. Understanding the importance of ecosystem services is crucial in an era of rapid environmental change and degradation, as it highlights the direct and indirect ways in which healthy ecosystems sustain human life. We are not always conscious of the links between our surrounding environment and our well-being, and thus we may not always take the true value of ecosystems into account in our decision-making processes. According to the 2005 Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, the term ecosystem services is simply stated as the benefits people obtain from ecosystems. The concept of ecosystem services went through a process of metamorphosis throughout history. Ecosystem services as a unit of study is arguably not a new concept. The idea that human society benefits from the environment or nature in various ways, both directly and indirectly, can be traced back at least as far back as Plato discussing how deforestation on the hilly terrain of Greece caused the land around Athens to lose many of its desirable qualities. The modern-day concept emerged in the 1970s as environmental services or nature's services and was renamed ecosystem services in the mid-1980s. The term ecosystem services was first used in the book Extinction, the Causes and Consequences of the Disappearance of Species, which was published in 1985. The concept of ecosystem services gained momentum from 1997 onwards, with the mainstreaming of ecosystem services in the literature and with the increased interest on methods to estimate the economic value. The modern-day concept of ecosystem services has multiple origins, and while some of the convergences emerge with many variations, there are various approaches to define ecosystem services. According to a research paper published by Brian Dunley and Camilla Woodmark in 2016, there were two main approaches to the modern-day concept of ecosystem services. One version of the ecosystem services concept, developed by biologists, focused initially on life support services. This approach can be described as the conservation biology approach. Life support services are the features from a biotic environment that are seen as essential for the very survival of human beings on Earth, or the organisms one might take on a spaceship to create a life support system on a lifeless planet. This approach then expanded to include all the indirect benefits provided by functioning ecosystems to human beings. Another broader version, which can be described as the environmental economics approach, was also being developed in parallel. In this approach, all aspects of human dependence on the environment are included. It was driven by the concern that human actions leading to resource depletion, pollution, and extinction could have significant negative consequences for human well-being. This environmental economics approach to ecosystem services was developed by a group of environmental economists such as David Pearce and Ed Barbier, and ecological economists such as Robert Consonas and Rudolf D. Groot, and the idea of natural capital can be traced back here. In this approach, natural capital is the stock that generates different kinds of benefit flows, products or goods, indirect benefit of services, and pure conservation, existence or aesthetic values. From these variants and different approaches, the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment crafted a comprehensive framework of ecosystem services, which laid the foundation for the concept of ecosystem services that we are familiar with today. The UN Millennium Ecosystem Assessment was carried out between 2001 and 2005 to assess the consequences of ecosystem change for human well-being and to establish the scientific basis for actions needed to enhance the conservation and sustainable use of ecosystems and their contributions to human well-being. Millennium Ecosystem Assessment was a landmark in the context of ecosystem services and the culmination of almost 2 decades of scientific work, and it is a synthesis of the body of knowledge on ecosystems and ecosystem services. The framework created by the UN Millennium Ecosystem Assessment is closer to the environmental economics approach. It also broadened the term services to include products and existent values as provisioning services and cultural services respectively. It also limited the concept of natural capital to life on Earth, or biodiversity, thereby excluding purely abundant resources such as minerals or abundant energy sources. And it introduced a confusing category called supporting services that covers that were hitherto seen as functions. The Millennium Ecosystem Assessment contributed much to putting ecosystem services firmly on the policy agenda, and since its release, the literature on ecosystem services has grown exponentially. By 2010, there were many evolved working definitions and descriptions of ecosystem services in the literature. According to the Millennium Ecosystem Assessments, ecosystem services are generally classified into four main categories, namely provisioning, regulating, cultural, and supporting services, which will be explained in more detailed manner later in this video. Another milestone in the concept of ecosystem services is the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity, or TEEB for short. TEEB was launched in 2007 by G8+5 countries in response to the global biodiversity crisis. The initiative has produced various reports targeting different audiences, including policymakers, businesses, and the public, offering guidance on how to incorporate the value of nature into economic decision-making. TEEB is a global initiative focused on making nature's values visible. Its primary objective is to mainstream the values of biodiversity and ecosystem services into decision-making at all levels. TEEB takes a step further in the concept of ecosystem services by implementing the framework of ecosystem perspective into the policy arena. In addition to that, TEEB had made some changes in categorization of ecosystem services. For example, TEEB replaced supporting services in the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment with habitat services and ecosystem functions, defined as a subset of the interactions between ecosystem structure and processes that underpin the capacity of an ecosystem to provide goods and services, to prevent double counting in the ecosystem services audits. As mentioned before, there are four main types of ecosystem services according to the UN Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. Provisional services are the products obtained directly from the ecosystem that are essential for humans' well-being. These services include tangible goods that humans harvest or extract from nature, which can be used for food, fuel, fiber, or other resources. For instance, forests supply timber and non-timber products like fruits and nuts, while oceans and rivers provide fish and other seafood. Agriculture, which is heavily dependent on natural soil and water systems, is another crucial provisioning service that sustains human populations. Common provisioning services include food, fresh water, raw materials, medicinal resources, and genetic resources. Regulated services include the regulation of climate, water purification, disease control, and pollination. Wetlands, for example, act as natural water filters, absorbing pollutants and providing clean water. Forests and oceans sequester carbon dioxide, helping to regulate the global climate and mitigate climate change. Bees and other pollinators are also essential for the reproduction of many plants, including crops vital to human food security. As an example of regulating service, let's take a look at this case study. In New York City, where the quality of drinking water had fallen below standards, authorities opted to restore the polluted Cascade watershed that had previously provided the city with ecosystem service of water purification by reducing the import of sewage and pesticides to the watershed area. By investing in this natural capital, natural abiotic processes such as soil absorption and filtration of chemicals, together with biotic recycling via root systems and soil microorganisms, improve water quality to levels that met government standards. The cost of this investment in natural capital was estimated 1 to 1.5 billion. If a new water filtration plant has to be constructed, it will cost an estimated $6 to $9 billion, with an additional cost of $300 million running costs annually. Cultural services are the non-material benefits people obtain from ecosystems through recreation, spiritual enrichment, cognitive development, and aesthetic experiences. Natural landscapes, such as national parks and wilderness areas, provide spaces for tourism and outdoor activities, which are important for mental and physical health. Moreover, many cultures around the world have deep spiritual connections to their natural environments, which are integral to their identities and traditions. Ecotourism is also a crucial part of the cultural aspect of ecosystem services. According to Fortune Business Insight, the global ecotourism market size was valued at $216.49 billion in 2023 and is projected to grow from $260.76 billion in 2024 to $759.93 billion by 2032. Supporting services are fundamental to the functioning of ecosystems and the production of all other ecosystem services. They include processes like soil formation, nutrient recycling, and primary production. For instance, healthy soil supports plant growth, which in turn provides food and oxygen, forming the base of the food chain. These supporting services are often invisible, but are critical for the sustainability of ecosystems and human life. This figure depicts the various most common linkages between different categories of ecosystem services and various components of human well-being. Some of the services and human well-being components have a stronger linkage than others. The value of ecosystem services can be understood in economic, ecological, and social terms. Economically, ecosystem services contribute to industries such as agriculture, fisheries, forestry, and tourism, which are significant sources of income and employment globally. Ecologically, various ecosystem services maintain biodiversity and ecosystem resilience, enabling ecosystems to recover from disturbances and continue providing essential functions. Socially, these services contribute to human well-being by supporting health, livelihoods, and cultural heritage. It is also difficult to put a price tag on how much an ecosystem service is worth. There are various methods for valuing ecosystem services in monetary terms. The six major methods include avoided cost, replacement cost, factor income, travel cost, hedonic pricing, and contingent valuation. Avoided costs include services that allow society to avoid costs that would have been incurred in the absence of those services. For example, waste treatment by wildlife habitats avoids health costs. Replacement costs are services that could be replaced with human-made systems. For example, restoration of the Cascade watershed cost is less than the construction of a water purification plant. Factor income are services that provide for the enhancement of incomes. For example, improved water quality increases the commercial take of a fishery and improves the income of fishers. Travel costs will include services that demand may require travel, whose costs can reflect the implied value of the service. For example, value of ecotourism experience is at least what a visitor is willing to pay to get there. Hedonic pricing may be described as service demand that may be reflected in the prices people will pay for associated goods. For example, coastal housing prices exceed that of inland homes. In contingent valuation, service demand may be elicited by posing hypothetical scenarios that involve some valuation of alternatives. For example, visitors willing to pay for increased access to national parks. A peer-reviewed study published in 1997 estimated the value of the world's ecosystem services and the natural capital to be between 16 and 54 trillion per year, with an average of 33 trillion per year. Despite this, the true value of ecosystem services is often underestimated or overlooked, leading to their degradation loss. This is partly because many ecosystem services are public goods, meaning they are freely available to all, and their depletion does not immediately affect the markets that depend on them. As a result, there is often little incentive to conserve or sustainably manage these resources, leading to activities that deplete or degrade them, such as deforestation, overfishing, and pollution. Human activities have significantly altered ecosystems worldwide, threatening the services they provide. Deforestation, pollution, climate change, overexploitation of resources, and habitat destruction are some of the primary drivers of ecosystem degradation. For example, deforestation in the Amazon rainforest reduces biodiversity and carbon sequestration capacity, while pollution in oceans and rivers affects water quality and marine life. Climate change exacerbates these threats by altering weather patterns, increasing the frequency of extreme events, and shifting the distribution of species. These changes can disrupt the delicate balance of ecosystems, leading to the loss of services that humans rely on for survival. The degradation of ecosystem services has profound implications for human well-being, especially for vulnerable communities that are directly dependent on natural resources. To ensure the continued provision of these services, it is essential to adopt sustainable management practices that balance human needs with the health of ecosystems. This includes protecting and restoring habitats, reducing pollution, promoting sustainable agriculture and forestry, and addressing climate change through mitigation and adaptation strategies. Furthermore, it's important to recognize the value of ecosystem services in policymaking and economic planning. This can be achieved by incorporating the cost of ecosystem degradation into economic models, incentivizing conservation through mechanisms like payments for ecosystem services and raising awareness about the importance of ecosystems for human well-being. On global level, ecosystem services are addressed by the Convention on Biodiversity, Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, Sustainable Development Goals, and Paris Agreement. Ecosystem services are the foundation of life on Earth, underpinning human survival and prosperity. They provide essential goods and services that support economies, sustain livelihoods, and enrich cultures. However, the ongoing degradation of ecosystems poses a significant threat to these services and, by extension, the human well-being. To secure a sustainable future, it's imperative to protect and restore ecosystems, recognizing their intrinsic value and the vital role they play in sustaining life. By doing so, we can ensure that ecosystems continue to provide the services necessary for the well-being of current and future generations. This is all for today's video, and I hope you enjoy our content. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe to our channel. It's just a click for you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.